Today I'm going to look at the Vantop mirror-mounted dash cam. This is called the Discovery H610. This is a dual camera, front and back, and it's shaped like a rear view mirror, and it actually replaces your rear view mirror and turns it into a video rear view mirror. And it actually performs very good. Let's check it out. As you can see, it's still wrapped up. I haven't even opened this box yet, so we're going to open this together. We'll go through the basic functions of it here in the shop, and then I'm going to take this, I'm going to stick it in my car, and we're going to go for a little drive with it. So here's the first viewing of this new camera. It looks like the box should just pull apart. That's what it looks like. There we go. Box just slides open. And here's the unit. Oh, it's actually bigger than I thought it would be. Oh, it's clipped on here, that's why. So here's the unit here all wrapped up. Get the unit out of its packaging. We'll remove the and this is supposed to be a mirror, and here's the camera at the front here, so you can move the lens around. Peel the lens protector off, otherwise it's not going to see much. This comes with a second camera as well for the rear of the car. So it's got a front and a rear facing camera, and which I hadn't really planned on installing today because there's a storm out there today, but I guess I'm going to be getting wet. This is just going to get stuck up in the back window. We'll use some tape, I guess, to stick this up in the back window, and we'll hang this on the rear view mirror. It attaches around the rear view mirror with these rubber clips that secure it around the mirror. GPS is an option which I don't have on this camera, but there is a jack under that little sticker that you'll see that's marked GPS. You load your memory card in here. TF card, that's at micro SD. In Asia, they call them a TF card. The USB power plugs in here, and the AV input plugs into the back. And it has a GPS in it as well. So these are the double-sided strips to mount the rear camera. Comes with a power cord, and of course the standard tool that's used for dressing the installation. Anyway, let's power this unit up and go through the menus on this thing. I'll first load an SD card, a micro SD. I have a 16 gig micro SD card here. So we'll put the SD card in the top. Let's see how easily this one goes in. Well, that's not bad. Yeah, some of them are tough to get the card in, but this one's not too bad. I'm critical of some because they're so tough to get the card into and remove the card that a lot of times your finger will slip when you're trying to remove the card, and then the spring will fire the card across the card, and you spend the next couple of hours looking for it. So I like the idea that this one here actually is not bad. The card is released. It does have that strong spring though, so if you were to slip, it is going to shoot the card out, but at least putting the card in is relatively easy. Some of the other ones you actually have to use like this one I can do it with my fingers without even using my fingernail. Some of the other ones you actually have to use your fingernail because you got to push the card right in, and that's where you slip and the card goes flying, and then you say it's a disaster. Let's get the power hooked up to this unit. Incidentally, it does come with extra elastic so that if you lose or break them, there are some spares that come with the unit. We'll plug the secondary camera in right now before I connect power. And now once I connect power, this unit should automatically, I would think, turn on. which it does. Nice big screen. Wow. That's kind of cool. What does it see? Okay, so this is the rear camera is what shows on the screen. So this in effect becomes an electronic rear view mirror. Hey, I can see that useful for someone who's driving like a panel van, for example, because I believe the camera is waterproof. It can go outside. This would be great for someone driving a panel van that has no back windows. Let's just get the lens protector off here so we can actually see what the image looks like from the rear camera. So there's the rear camera. That is interesting. See, I've got my wireless mic on, guys. So that's actually pretty good. That's better than I expected. I thought this was just going to act like a mirror and the camera would show up in it, but it's actually, this is the entire LCD screen for the rear camera, and it's a touch screen. Wow. It's recording in 2K, so it's a 1080p. Let's look at the specifications on this camera here. I'm starting to like this without even putting it in the car. Looking at the instruction manual, the backup cable is it's 18 feet. So if you're within 18 feet of the mirror, you can mount the camera. And like I say, it looks like it can go outside. I'm just thumbing through the installation manual now. We'll look up the specs. The red wire on here is for the reverse light. It's a trigger wire for the reverse light. So I don't think I need to worry about hooking that up, but that's what it's for. So let's talk about the resolution of this camera, or this system. It operates in two resolutions, 1080p and 2K. Now 2K is 2560 by 1440. So that's going to give you a better picture than 1080p, obviously, because 1080p is 1920 by 1080. The default resolution for the front camera is set to 2560 by 1440, and the resolution for the backup camera is set to 1080p by default, but you can switch the resolutions. And we're going to go through the menus on here. I'm just kind of going through the menu. It also features a time lapse, so you can, normally it captures 30 frames per second, but you can go down as far down as 1 frame per second and merge them into a video, so that'll give you a 30 times increase in speed. So if you want to make a high-speed driving video, you can actually do it with this camera right out of the box without having to use any additional software to speed it up. Driving mode, there's different, it's got a G sensor, low, middle, high, and off. So if you select that, it'll lock the files around 20 seconds when it detects a minor collision. Parking mode, if you've got power to this, I think it has to have power to it, but it'll set the different G sensor sensitivity when the car is parked, so that if you if the car is bumped or banged, it will record. Sleep mode, it'll turn off after a certain period of inactivity, like 1 minute, 3 minutes, or off. You can set the recording format to either H265 and H264. Of course, H265 is more efficient than H264, but not necessarily compatible with all your playback software. What else on here? Oh yeah, you can select USB mode as well to transfer files right out of here, but I think obviously taking the card out of the camera is probably going to be the easiest. The chipset is a high 3556 using an ARM Cortex A7 processor. The display size it's an IPS display, 9.66 inches, and the display resolution is 320 by 1280. So the resolution that the camera captures obviously is different than what you're seeing on the screen here. And it will support up to 128 gigabyte memory card, so maybe I'll go back and get my other card and we'll put the bigger card in when I take it out for a test drive. It has a 400 milliamp battery, internal, 3.7 volts, touchscreen, of course we've already figured that out. And the front camera sensor, it's an IMX355, which is a Starvis. The backup sensor is an FH2308. The resolution of the cameras, the front camera is a 2K camera, the back camera is 1080p by default. Records in MP4. Let's go in through some of the menus on this thing. So to get into the menu, you can just swipe down from the middle of the screen here. And here's where you select the resolution. So tap resolution. It'll say 2K on the front, 1080p on the back, or 1080p on the front plus 2K. If I tap this button again, it will change modes. 2K plus 1080p. There we go. 2K plus 1080p. Loop recording is where you set the... Might help if I stop touching the screen. 5 minutes, say, for your loop recording. Time lapse, you can set it to 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, etc. for your how many frames you're going to record. I'm turning that off. Audio, you can either turn the audio on or off. We can do that also when the car is when you're recording. There's an icon on the screen. Driving mode, this is where you would set the sensitivity for the G sensor for low, middle, and high. That's for if your collision will detect how severe the collision is and lock the file. Parking mode, same thing. You can set the G sensor sensitivity. License is where you would put your license plate in there if you want your own information to be displayed on the screen. Encoder, H264 or H265. Frequency, 60 or 50 hertz. The tap sound, now it won't do anything when I tap it. Speaker, high, middle, lower, mute. Sound, on and off. Streaming mode. Streaming mode. When it's off, it shows both the front and rear cameras simultaneously on the screen. When it's on, it shows the full screen as your rear view mirror camera. Set the date and time, we'll do that. So it's 2020, and it's 1:10, and it's 11:18 right now. Confirm. There, now the time is set. What else is in here? If I scroll up here, okay, format SD card, factory reset, and the version will tell you the software version. That's, actually this is, how do we get back? Okay, now I've messed it up. There we go. Now we're back. That's a pretty intuitive and easy to set camera. I have to say, this has got to be one of the easier ones thanks to the touchscreen. Back, of course, will take you back to the back camera. Tap the screen. Here's where you can turn the microphone on and off. And it looks like it's already got some information there. Let's take that out. Stop recording. Tap the screen here where the red dot is. That'll turn off the recording. Go back into setup. Again, you can swipe down or tap the setup. And let's go back to, where was that? License. Let's turn it off. Don't want it on. But when you first set it up, you can put in your license plate or whatever you want, right? And but you can turn it on and off. So if it's lit up here, it's going to display your license plate on the screen. You turn it off, it's not going to display it. Now you see it no longer shows on the screen. Okay, it looks like if streaming media is on, it will always show the backup camera. If you turn it off, then when the power is first applied, it should show the front camera. So let's let it shut down. And when I power it up, it should show the front camera initially. Yeah, it does. It shows the front camera, and then it shows the back camera. And actually, it might, in this mode, streaming mode off, it looks like it's going to show both the front and the back camera at the same time. Streaming mode on shows just the back camera. So that is, I think, a more useful mode. If you're going to put this in your car, you can show both at the same time. Front camera and back camera. So that's the basic operation. I'm going to go put a bigger memory card in this thing now. I'm going to go take it and stick it in the car and then we're going to take it out for a drive. Okay, first things first. And I know I'm only shooting this video in 1080p, so what you're going to see on this is a scaled, unless I upscale this to 4K, but I think I'll just shoot it in 1080. I'm only shooting it in 1080p to begin with. Anyway, new memory card in. This is 128 gig memory card, and we're going to format it first. So there's the power. Card not formatted. Yes, I know. So let's go into settings, and we're going to go down to, where is it? Format the card. Format SD card right there. Confirm. And I'm going to set the encoding to H264 just because my editing software does not support H265. So we'll leave it at H264. And we're going to take this out now and mount it in the car. Wish me luck. That's what I'm having to deal with today. It is just a nasty day. You know, the rest of the country is probably all snowed in, but we don't get snow here where I am. We get rain. When it's snowing everywhere else, it's just pissing with rain here. And this is what I'm dealing with today. So, wish me luck as I mount the camera and quickly run the cable for the back camera and just stick it up in the back window quickly. So I've quickly installed the camera here. I haven't routed the power cable. I did route the rear camera cable, kind of made it a little more neater, but the power cable is just going to hang here because it's not. I got to power it up from the back of the car. My power point in the front is already in use, so I've just kind of suspended the cable here in behind the sun visor, and that'll have to do for now. It's sitting next to my other camera. This is my permanent camera that's stuck to the window. So this one's now stuck onto the rear view mirror. And if you turn off the display by pressing the button, it will function as a dimmed mirror, like for nighttime. That's actually kind of nice. At night you can turn it off and just use it as a dimmed rear view mirror. So when you get all these jerks coming up behind you with their bright lights on, they won't bother you so much. But it is a reflective mirror, as you can see. With it on, just touch the screen and it'll turn on. I'll show you where I've mounted the back camera, and then we're going to take it out for a drive and evaluate the shots that it takes. So in the back, I've just kind of stuck it here. I've fished the wires around behind the trim here, but I haven't tied them up permanently. I just stuck it to the window right beside my existing camera, and we'll see how the picture compares, and we'll compare it to the existing camera. So let's take it out for a drive. So this is how the rear view camera looks when in rear view mode. As you can see, the picture it delivers is actually very good. Very good contrast, very good color. You know, it's later in the afternoon now. It's not dark yet, but it's going to be getting dark soon. And we'll try this out when it gets totally dark. Getting a little bit of reflection from the internal mirror on this thing, just the angle I'm holding the camera, because I'm holding it up high as I can. The camera's actually right up against the roof of the car, so it's not in my field of view or anything, so I can try and film this without getting pinched for using an electronic device while I'm driving. But anyway, it gives you an idea of what type of view the camera gets when it's in the single view. What I'll do is I'll pull over and I'm going to set the camera up. I'll turn the streaming mode off so that you can see both the front and the rear cameras at the same time. I just have to pull over here because I have to actually shut the camera off in order to do that. So now this is the view when it's in dual mode, where it displays both the front camera and the rear camera simultaneously on the screen. Now, I don't know that I would recommend leaving the camera in this mode because the eye tends to get drawn to the picture out the front window. But besides that, I think for legal reasons, it may not be legal to have the image from the front camera displaying on the rear view mirror, whereas having the image from the rear camera displaying on the mirror I don't think there'd be any legal precedents to stop you from doing that, because it's only showing you the same thing that you would see if it was in fact an actual mirror. It's showing you what's behind the vehicle as a video mirror. So I don't think there's any legal implications for having the camera in rear view mode, but certainly having it displaying the image out the front may get you into legal red tape depending on your jurisdiction. I don't think it probably doesn't fall into any different category though as just having a dash cam displaying, so it may not be illegal, but again, it's up to the individual to decide whether they want to run the risk. I think having it just displaying the rear image is actually better. I think you get a better view of what's behind the car because everything's bigger and it looks just like a mirror. So I'm going to pull over here again and we'll put it into rear view mode, and I'll show you how that's done. To change modes, swipe down or tap the screen and tick the setup button and just hit the streaming mode to turn it on, and then back. And then you actually have to power cycle the camera. So I'll unplug the power, let the camera fully shut down, and then power it back up again. You can see the mirror now is reflecting. And when it powers up, it'll briefly show the front camera and then switch to the rear view and show you the full rear view mirror, which I prefer that because you get a wider view of what's behind you. And as you can see, it really does give you a wide aspect as opposed to looking out the back window, which would look kind of like this. So that's kind of like what you normally see out your rear view window. But having the camera mounted at the back of the car on the back window, you get a much wider aspect of what's going on, a much wider view of the road. Just like that, you can see the person walking at the side of the road. And okay, they're passing out of view now, and I can see them now at the side of my car. So it's almost 180 degree coverage. You can see them walking in front now. Now, of course, what will be of interest is how well this performs when it's dark, because it's still light out now. So once it gets dark, we'll see how well this camera actually shows up. Is it going to actually show anything on the road, or are all we going to see is the headlights of the car behind us? That will be the acid test for how the camera performs when there's no light other than the lights from cars behind the vehicle. So here's a good example. The car here, I can see in the mirror, oops, but I don't see that car out in my side mirror. And they're actually in the blind spot. They're in the total blind spot of my car. You know, I turn my head, they're behind the B-pillar, but they're showing in the camera. Okay, let's take a look at the actual image from the camera itself. So this is the front camera, just looking out the front window. And again, I just threw it up quickly. I haven't even extended the camera from the mirror at all. So I'm seeing a bit of some of the hardware mounted to the window on the car, but that's okay. Let's get a fairly good field of view, and it does have a good picture. And of course, this is the rear camera. Now my window is wet, so that's going to affect the quality of the image there, just because the glass is wet. But I'm shooting it in the rain, so worst possible scenario for shooting is with a wet window. But you get an idea of how good the picture is. 1080p, 30 frames, that's not bad. You know, it would certainly, the image would be better if the window wasn't covered in water. But this car does not have a rear window wiper, which is the one thing I wish it did. I wish it had a rear window wiper on the back, because the glass itself is almost horizontal. So the water just sits on there, doesn't run off it. So you're seeing water running down the window. Let's take a listen to the audio off the camera and see how the on-camera audio is. Okay, now it's in streaming mode on, and all I see in the mirror, all I see in the camera is the rear view behind the car, which is actually pretty good. It shows me the recording that's being made on the rear camera. If I hit the button on the bottom of the monitor, it turns the system off, and then it just functions as a regular mirror. The problem is that aiming it so I can see out the back. There we go. Now it's operating as a mirror. It's not a really bright mirror like a regular mirror would be, but it is functional as a rear view mirror, and you do get a good representation just like using your regular mirror, but it is a dimmed version, which is actually quite pleasant. And I'm sure at night when people are driving with their bright lights, one of the things that drives me crazy about this car that I'm driving, my old car, which was also a Chevy Volt, it was the Premier Edition, and it had all the bells and whistles. It had the auto dimming mirrors, which is a feature that I find that I hate that mirror on this car, because the replacement car that I got, the newer one, the car is out of production, and all the premium models were all sold out. I got a step up. It's an LT model, but it was the highest level of trim, being the non-Premier. So I didn't get the parking assist, which I didn't really want anyway, and I didn't get the garage door opener, which would have been a nice feature to have on the car, but I didn't get those. What I got is I got the leather seats, I got the heated seats, I got the powered seats, I got the Bose sound system, I got everything but that top, nice hydroplaning. I got everything but that top tier package, which would have included the auto dimming mirrors, and I'm kind of kicking myself for that, because that's a feature that I really miss, is the auto dimming mirror. But that's beside the point, because I don't have that option. I have the manual mirror that you, like everybody else has, that you have to flip back and forth. But of course I find that if it's in the flip position, it's too dark, and if it's in the non-nighttime mode position, I always seem to get everybody that comes up behind me with their super bright aftermarket LED and aftermarket HID headlights, which are blinding. Especially people in their big trucks that put their aftermarket Chinese headlights on that they pick up at the China Mart, and totally illegal. You know, the ones that say for off-road use only, and they put them on their street vehicles, and they just blind everybody coming the other way, both the HID and the LED ones. If I was a cop, I'd be right at the top of the list as far as traffic tickets for people with overly bright headlights, because it drives me absolutely crazy when you get somebody coming the other way, or someone come up behind you with bright lights on and they just blind you. Anyway, that's my rant on that. Oh boy. Oh boy, look at what's on the left of the road here. I was wondering why there was no traffic coming in. Now we know why. There's a truck facing the wrong way on the road. Yeah, it looks like he's had a very bad day. I guess when I go home, I'll be taking a different route than this. Okay, let's jump way ahead, and we're going to look at how this looks for in the night, for some night shots, and then we'll wind this one up pretty quick. So we're going to take a look at both the front and the back camera. So here's the front camera on a relatively well lit street. I'm seeing a couple of frames skip here too on the editing software, so I don't know whether that's just whether the camera actually dropped frames or whether it's just showing up while I'm in preview mode here, but I guess we'll find out when it's rendered out. But I saw the odd frame there drop. Let's look at the back camera, and then we're going to take it down to a really dark street. So this is in sync. That's the same light. The nice thing about the files, I'll show you how the files are laid out too. It lays out the files in separate folders for the front and back camera. The files have the same name. They're basically the date and the time that the file was recorded, and the rear camera just has a B for the extension. So this is the back camera. Again, it's raining, the window's wet, so you have to take that into consideration, that this is real world. This is as bad as it can get as far as the weather goes. But overall, I think the camera actually performs quite well. You know, it's fairly bright. At least in this scene it is. Let's we're just going to go down, take the road, the Bay Road as they call it, which there's no lights at all. Okay, now we're on a road that has no lights on it whatsoever. The only lights, of course, are the cars behind me. But I can see the cars. I can see their lights. So as far as it operating as a mirror, it's actually quite nice. Using it as a rearview mirror, actually, it's not bad in the dark. It's better than I expected that it would be in low light. I'll take some darker roads too, and we'll see how it looks when we get into some darker roads. But this is just a residential area here, not a lot of light around here, just the odd street light. So here's a look at what vehicles look like coming up behind. Look at that, it's clear enough you can actually see the person in the car. On the SD card, the file structure is as follows. It creates 6 subfolders: back emergency, back normal, back photo, front emergency, front normal, and front photo. And the video files are stored in these specific folders. If we look at the front normal folder, you'll see the video files are stored with the date and the time. As you can see, a few of them were made before I actually set the date, because this is the memory card I put in when I was playing with the camera on the bench. So you can see when I change the date to the correct date. This is the front folder, and then we'll notice if we look at the back folder, it's the same name with just a B added to the end of the file name. And as you can see, same file names, just with a B added at the end of the extension to indicate that it's the back camera. One last thing. If you stop recording, if you want to play back your recordings, I just brought it back in the shop here. Swipe to the right, and it'll play back your recordings that you've got. So I have a recording that I made a little earlier here, so I just tap on here, and I should be able to play it. Where is it? There we go. So this is one I recorded earlier. So you can play back. We'll see the big wreck here on the freeway. You can play back in the car on the screen just by swiping to the right for instant playback. I think it's a little further down. Here we go. We'll go back here. You'll see the truck, I think. Here we go. You think? Now if I hit the here and I want to look at the rear standard, I just tap rear standard video, and here's the same view from the back camera as I pass the wreck. It'll be on this side. It's a mirror image. There's a truck facing the wrong way on the road. Looks like he's had a very bad day. Okay, so we'll stop it, or is it here? Stop. Okay. Also, I didn't show this before, but the camera is extendable. So when it's clamped down to your mirror, if it's hitting the back of your mirror or something, you can extend this out so that it clears the mirror. That's just another little feature I didn't show you before, but now I did. Okay, that about does it. Thanks for watching. Link to this is in the description. We'll catch you again in the next one real soon. Bye for now.